What if Africa, the land of mystery, innovation, and cultural heritage, was not always called Africa? And how did a name tied to climate and geography come to define this vast, beautiful continent? Today, let's dive into the origins of the name Africa and explore what this land was known as before it was given that title. The name Africa is widely believed to have originated from ancient Greek thought. The Greeks used the term Afriki, which translates to without cold or land free from horror. However, it is also possible that the Greeks adapted this name from a pre-existing indigenous name for the continent. Across African cultures, the sun was highly revered, influencing both language and identity. Egypt, located in the northeast of Africa, was known as the place of Ra, with Ra being the sun god. The word for sun in many African languages is Elarngar, and similarly, the region of Egypt may have been referred to as Karlarngar, meaning place of the sun. Thus, the Greek interpretation of Afriki as a sunny place aligns with ancient African naming traditions, suggesting that Africa's identity as the land of the sun may predate Greek influence. One of the most ancient names for what we now call Egypt was written in hieroglyphics as Kemet. It's important to clarify that ancient Egyptians did not use vowels in their writing. Modern linguists reconstructed the word as Kemet, but the original pronunciation was likely closer to Karmuntu, a reference to the deity Muntu. Muntu, symbolized by the falcon or eagle, represented strength, war, and was often linked to the sun. The falcon, also called the wanderer of the sky, aligns with African traditions where the sky, Izulu, or the sun, Elarngar, are embodied by birds of prey. In later traditions, Muntu was associated with Horus, whose name traces back to the Greek word Alios, meaning sun. Therefore, the place name Karmuntu can be interpreted as the land of the sun. Similarly, the word Egypt has Greek origins from Aegyptos. This name may have derived from the indigenous word Karvutar or Karbutar, meaning place of burning or place of flames, a reference to the sun's heat. Over time, the name evolved into Gibite in later African dialects, showing the interconnectedness of African languages and meanings. Another name linked to Africa is Alkelbulan, which translates to Mother of Mankind or Land of Life. This term reflects Africa's ancient role as the cradle of human civilization. While the exact origin of the word is debated, it is thought to have been used by early African societies and may have connections to Arabic influences. In any case, it reinforces the idea that Africa is where humanity began, a truth upheld by modern archaeological discoveries. Throughout history, African travelers and traders such as the Moors and Ethiopians journeyed across other continents for commerce and exploration. When in foreign lands, they often referred to Africa as their motherland, signifying their place of origin, roots, and identity. This practice aligns with the deep cultural connection Africans have with their land, often expressed in phrases like Kwela Nabucco or Kwelengabardi, meaning the place of origin or ancestral homeland. Africa's richness in fertile soil, diverse vegetation, and life-sustaining ecosystems likely contributed to the perception of the continent as a Garden of Eden. To those living abroad, the image of Africa as a place of abundance and renewal was fitting. This view symbolized not only the wealth of Africa's natural resources but also the spiritual connection people held with the continent as a place of life and rebirth, making it much more than just a geographical location. For Africans, it has always been home, the motherland from which they drew strength, pride, and identity. Another historical name for Africa was Bilad ul-Sudan, meaning land of the blacks. This name originates from the Arabic language, where Bilad means land and Ul Sudan refers to black people. The term was used by Arab travelers, traders, and geographers to describe the region south of the Sahara Desert, where they encountered diverse African communities with darker skin tones. It was not limited to a single country but spanned across many areas, stretching from present-day Senegal to Sudan and beyond. The use of the term Bilad ul Sudan offers insight into how early societies recognized Africa's people and their distinct identity. Rather than being a singular reference to ethnicity or nation, it acknowledged a cultural and geographical unity among the many black populations of the continent. This concept aligns with African traditions, where people often identified themselves not only by their tribes but also through larger regional or cultural affiliations, recognizing shared ancestry, customs, and values. Importantly, the diversity of Africa at that time was immense. In the ancient trade cities such as Timbuktu, Gao, and Kano, a complex network of commerce, scholarship, and cultural exchange flourished. These cities connected not just the northern and southern parts of Africa, but also regions across the Mediterranean and beyond into the Middle East and Asia. The term Bilad ul Sudan thus encapsulates the idea of a continent rich in people, culture, and civilization, countering the later colonial narratives that sought to diminish the achievements of African societies. Additionally, the naming of Africa as Bilad ul Sudan by outsiders mirrors how Africa's inhabitants have always embraced their identity and unity. Just as the Moors and Ethiopians referred to the continent as their motherland while traveling abroad, the people of Bilad ul Sudan carried with them a profound sense of pride in their origins, even as they engaged with distant lands. Another significant name associated with Africa is Azania. Although the term has been debated among scholars, its meaning resonates with freedom, liberation, and identity. Historically, Azania is believed to have referred to the southeastern coast of Africa, covering parts of modern-day Kenya, Tanzania, Mozambique, and even reaching into South Africa. Early Greek and Roman writings mention Azania as a region populated by people with distinct ways of life, deeply connected to the land and the sea through fishing, trade, and exploration. The name Azania stems from the word Zansi or Zanzi, which is derived from the indigenous term referring to the sun, Satsi. However, during trade and cultural exchanges with outsiders, the pronunciation evolved. External traders and travelers referred to the region as Zanj, Zenj, or Zengi. These variations reflect the interactions between African communities and foreign merchants. Today, remnants of this name persist in places like Zanzibar in Tanzania and the term Zanzi, used in South Africa, which means the place of the sun. For many Africans, especially in South Africa, Azania has taken on a deeper symbolic meaning over time. It represents a pre-colonial identity, a name untouched by the legacies of European domination. During the anti-apartheid struggle, some political activists adopted the name Azania to reflect their vision of liberation and to reclaim African pride and heritage from colonial distortions. This name emphasizes the autonomy that African societies had long before colonial interference. The coastal people who lived under this banner engaged in long-distance trade, sailing across the Indian Ocean and interacting with merchants from Arabia, Persia, and India. Their independence in governing themselves and managing trade routes is a testament to the continent's sophistication and early globalization efforts. The term Azania speaks to the endurance of African cultural identity and self-determination, even under the pressures of foreign domination. Much like other names for Africa, such as Kemet or Bilad ul Sudan, Azania is a reminder of Africa's strength and its people's continuous effort to define themselves, free from imposed labels and narratives. One of the oldest and most enduring names is Ethiopia, meaning land of burnt faces in Greek. This name was used broadly by Greeks to refer to people south of Egypt and even in sub-Saharan regions. Ethiopia carried connotations of nobility, resilience, and power, and today it remains a symbol of African pride. In conclusion, the name Africa is not just a label but a reflection of the continent's identity and its intrinsic connection to the sun. This designation, derived from the Greek term Afrika, translates to sunny place or place of the sun. This is particularly fitting, as many indigenous names for the continent echo similar meanings, highlighting its climate and natural beauty. From ancient times, the land has been associated with warmth, vitality, and agricultural abundance. The name reinforces the perception that Africa has always been seen as a vibrant, life-giving land, a motherland for its people. The connections between the name and the sun can be traced through the indigenous words like Kar Larngar in Egypt, where Ra, the sun god, was revered, and Zansi or Mzansi, meaning place of the sun, in southern African languages. The Greek adaptation merely serves as a bridge to the understanding held by the continent's original inhabitants. While the Greek influences are undeniable, it's essential to acknowledge that the essence of Africa resonates deeply with how its peoples have long understood and cherished their land. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content, consider buying me a coffee. Your support helps me continue creating engaging and informative videos. Click the link in the description below to show your appreciation. Thank you for your support.